I think this project we're doing for Lyndhurst is very exciting indeed, because location there is so vital. I mean, it's effectively halfway between Nosori and Suva. It's got great access, and it's in the middle of the densest populated parts of Fiji. And what we'll end up with is a complete town, really. I mean, it'll have thousands of people in it, and it should be a great place to walk around.
For us, this space, we see it as an ecosystem. Very important that each one that exists in this space are able to feed off each other and help each other.
Yeah, so the good thing about this space is it's adaptable to a lot of functions. You can work it to a BPO call center or co-working environments, so you can adapt it to any sort of planning that you feel that you want to achieve here, and people will appreciate the spaces a lot more than your conventional office spaces.
It's one area that Fiji really also need to focus on is how can we create more entrepreneur beyond just doing things in Fiji and really focus outside. Because I think we've got some very talented young people, but it happens that you need to also create the environment and the facility that can bring them together, because the more they can be together and talking about this type of opportunities, the more they can crystallize it to actually see things happen.
This is something that I learned from Stuart over the years. Designing something that's timeless, basically.
One of the things about this job is the client. Rob Crom is an extraordinary person. He's been wildly successful in commercial terms, but his sensitivity to the aesthetics of buildings was really quite daunting, frankly. I mean, he knew exactly what he was looking at, talking about, and so on. And we had some great interactions on it.
Rob had a vision. We had to go and find out what is happening in the globe in relation to that vision. And sure enough, we came across it and said, this is very interesting. And he said, okay, we've got a lot of young people coming out of university. This is really a good opportunity for them. But what was missing was to be able to have the infrastructure and the buildings and the so on. So we said, we've got a good piece of property right in the middle of Suva Nosori, and developing this will really bring this together.
Rob is a bit of an inspiration to all Fijians, and you look at where he came from, like his humble beginnings and what he's done, the head of one of these global fashion brands. And it's not that he could have easily finished there and been very happy, wealthy man. I think his Fijianness has brought him kind of back home.
I could just see his vision and how we connect in a lot of ways. And I think what also connects us, he was a village boy, I was a village boy. And where we are in terms of, surely for him in business, in global sense, and for me with all my experience, I said, I would like to come and join him and see what we can do together to be able to really bring a difference in terms of what we can do for the country.
I think every time I think of doing something long term, it's always Fiji. I live in Australia, been very lucky and very fortunate to make a business and build a business, but my heart's really, it's always in Fiji. So I'm in the back of my mind, whatever I'm doing, I'm going, how can I do that in Fiji? It's kind of funny. I can never get out of there. And I heard that when I was young, that my mother, for some reason, the story goes that my mother took some part of it might have been my umbilical cord or part of my umbilical cord, and gave it to the villagers, and the villagers have it buried in a section near the village or on the outskirts of the village. And my grandmother told me that meant that I would always be tied and never able to leave Fiji. And I'm sort of fearing that that's probably going to be the case. I'm eternally tied to this country.
I think this is a brilliant example of forward thinking. It's located in an area where there's majority of Suva's population. It has a lot of synergies. It has clearly articulated what it wants to do, and it gives a lot of benefits to the whole industry and clients.
The world, I think now, is looking for differences in products. So given where we're situated, good quality air, cleanliness, water, and if we're able to develop particular niche products and brand it, I think we will do well. And we have a young population, so there's a lot of potential to develop, apart from the outsourcing sector, the other industries as well.
And I think we need to think very innovatively, creatively, making use of what we have to project ourselves into the globe.
There's going to present all these new career opportunities, which is going to provide better livelihood options for the people in that area, for their children, education. For me, I think that whole area is it's going to be this sort of seismic shift in sort of the type of work you can do in Fiji.
And it will be a good substitute for tourism to diversify Fiji's economy.
We always need people. So you need people to work with you, you need customers, you need services, professional and otherwise. And not only will you probably find most of that within this complex, but also in the hinterland around it, because it's a center of population, it makes a lot of sense.
Especially for this design, it reminds me a lot about the Fijian village, the interaction between the spaces, the outdoor spaces, the indoor spaces. It's a place I would love to work in.
Projects like Lyndhurst project has to be dreamt up like it is an experience. It has to be standout and different. It's not just about, here's your desk, this is what you're doing. It's about everything else around it and the amenities that they will offer that as a point of difference to make their products stand out, which is fantastic.
We can bring all that Fijianness, the people skills, but we can combine it now with the latest tech. It's kind of like, whoever would have thought that technology and sort of culture would kind of find this mesh, but I think it works.
Being a village boy, you connect to the people and see how they can benefit from it. From a global sense, because of exposure in these large companies, you exactly know what they need to be able to operate, what their purposes are, and what drives those companies. I guess we become the connector because of that very thing.
I like the idea that you can relax at the same time as being very busy. And I suspect the fundamental idea here might be to encourage both those things at the same time.
I think, I've thought about this. I watched the only two women that I grew up with in my life, and I shouldn't say two. My mum had 6 sisters. I grew up with all of those mothers, and all of them were the same. We led a life of service. Every time we went outside our front door, we knew our job was to help people. That's our job. Like, I come from a chiefly family, and I think chiefs misunderstand their role in life. As a chief, you serve. You're not there to be served. And my grandmother taught me that. My mother taught me that. Your life as a chief is service. You're there to look after people. You're there to help people. That's your job. If you really understand what the true meaning of being a chief is, right? And that was ingrained in my head from a little kid. My mother spent her whole life serving people. My grandmother spent her whole life serving her village and her province. That's all they did, and that's all I knew. So I took what was ingrained in me as a child and just took it into business. This thing is for us. This thing is for you. That manufacturing business in Fiji belongs to all of us. This company here belongs to all of us. The achievements we build in this organization, it's ours. It's not mine. When I go, this thing will still be here, and hopefully my kids, do it well or better than what I did. But I just grew up with a sense that my life was about service. I think that's still with me today. When I build something, what's the outcome? Who's it going to help? So when we think about Pacific Koro, it's going to help 20,000 people. It's going to help 20,000 people. It's going to help the economy. It's going to help Fiji. So when you build things because you think that way, it's always going to have a good outcome because you've got the right intention to begin with. It's not building an asset that's going to make you lots and lots of money. It's about 20,000 people that are going to have jobs, meaningful jobs, skilled jobs. And then there's the outcome of, imagine the retail that could be underneath that'll, benefit from having all of those people upstairs. You can build some young designer's fashion business, some retailer's grocery business. You can build things off the back of that. And that is because we have a sense of service. What can we do that's going to help others? And that's what we do every day. You know, when COVID happened, our biggest concern was how do we keep people paid every week? You know, that was our biggest worry. It wasn't how much money we were going to lose. We really didn't care. We knew we had to look out for the families that work for us, even when we were closed. And that just comes because you put other people first. And I think when you approach life that way, it's always going to be better. I think it's always going to be better. You know, people spend too much of their time thinking about themselves. And that's 90% of the world's problem right now. We do things because we're thinking about us and what it gives us. And it's kind of, in a sense, I won't say it's madness, but it doesn't make any sense, because when you go, all of this stuff that you spent your life frantically building and making, none of it goes with you, right? So you built this thing. Yeah, you might have had a great life. At the end of the day, they've put you in a box, put you 6 feet under or 8 feet under. None of it goes with you. If you can look back on your life and go, you know what? I had incredible outcomes with people that are going to well and truly outlive you. You know, that woman that started sewing in your factory, whose daughter is now a doctor. Well, that's changed the world for their family, right? That's changed it forever, and it's going to outlive anything you own. She's now a doctor, and her child is probably going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something, but you've changed the way that family's life works. And that's always going to be far better than anything else you're ever going to do. And that's what drives me. You know, it's the best thing I'll ever be able to do in my life, is just watch people blossom. There's nothing better.